Marvel fans, comic geeks, non-nerds in between. My name is Megan, and I am here today with another character breakdown, and of course it's another mutant, because I love mutants. And I have to say, this episode took forever to do. Forever to write. So I really hope you enjoy it. Today we're going to be talking about Iceman. So Bobby Drake first appeared in X-Men #1 in July of 1963, and he was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Bobby Drake's life basically started with two things: being cold and having absolutely no idea how weird his life was about to get. Bobby Drake was born in Floral Park, New York, to William Drake and Madeline Bass Drake. Bobby grew up with a Jewish mom and an Irish Catholic dad, and a mutant gene that made itself known when he realized he could not stop shivering no matter what. Most kids get a growth spurt. Bobby got permanent air conditioning. Things escalated very quickly when a school bully, Rocky, decided it would be fun to attack Bobby and his girlfriend, Judy. In a panic, Bobby froze Rocky solid. Judy was safe, but Bobby's secret was officially out. The townspeople responded in the most calm and rational way possible that people always do in comic books. They formed an angry mob. The mob stormed the Drake house, overwhelmed Bobby's family, and things got ugly fast. Fortunately, the sheriff realized the town was one bad decision away from becoming a history lesson and took Bobby into custody for protection. News of the incident eventually reached Professor Charles Xavier. Professor X sent Scott Summers, Cyclops, that is Cyclops, to recruit Bobby. Bobby's first response was basically, no thank you. This naturally led to a brief superpowered fight before the same angry mob caught up with them and nearly hanged them both. Professor X stepped in, wiped the mob's memories, and saved the day. Bobby, impressed by Scott and very interested in not getting lynched, enrolled in Xavier's School for the Gifted Youngsters and became the official second X-Man. At Xavier's, Bobby trained alongside the OG X-Men, Cyclops, Angel, Beast, and Marvel Girl. As Iceman, he learned to use his powers to protect the world that mostly seemed interested in fearing and hating him. He quickly became best friends with Beast, though he was always a little insecure about being the team's youngest member. His solution was humor. If everyone else was panicking, Bobby was making jokes. Early on, his powers were pretty rough around the edges. Instead of becoming a sleek ice sculpture we constantly see when he's being used in a comic book, he looked more like a walking snowman. Over time, though, he upgraded from festive lawn decoration to Omega-level force of nature. The original X-Men fought villains like Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and Bobby even teamed up with the Human Torch to fight a pirate named Captain Barracuda because comic books refuse to be normal and we appreciate them for that. Years later, everything got weirder when Beast traveled back in time and brought the teenage original X-Men to the future. There, Bobby discovered several upsetting facts. Professor X was dead. Jean Grey had died again. Cyclops had killed Xavier, and the future Bobby was, in his own words, kind of lame. The younger X-Men decided to stay in the future and help fix things. During this time, young Jean Grey, now free of Xavier's psychic blocks and was able to read minds, learned that Bobby was gay. She informed him of this fact in probably the least subtle way imaginable, by straight up telling him after reading his thoughts. Bobby was understandably furious about the invasion of privacy, but after a lot of awkward conversations and soul-searching, he accepted it. Then came the really awkward part, telling his older self. Adult Bobby was initially annoyed that Jean had essentially spoiled a deeply personal realization, but after thinking it through, he admitted she was right. He'd spent years burying that part of himself because he believed coming out would make his already complicated life even harder. As anti-mutant tensions rose and the Mpox crisis spread, the time-displaced X-Men split up. Bobby moved to Austin, Texas, where he somehow became a local attraction by casually building giant ice sculptures in public. Eventually, he rejoined his friends on a mutant road trip across America, helping people wherever they could. Not long after, Bobby's friends, Genesis and Oya, decided his love life needed emergency intervention and tried setting him up at a nightclub in Miami. Their efforts went predictably badly. Fortunately, Bobby met Romeo, a young Inhuman who had no trouble flirting with him whatsoever. The two started dating and eventually shared their first kiss during the middle of a mutant Inhuman war because apparently Bobby only does romance during major international crisis. Time travel then returned to ruin everyone's day. The young X-Men learned that they simply could not go back home, got tangled up in alternate timelines, evil future Brotherhood schemes, collapsing time streams, and attacks by the mutant hunter Ahab. Eventually, they returned to their original era. Before leaving, Jean Grey sealed away everyone's memories of the experience so history would not implode. Those memories would only return to their adult selves much later. Meanwhile, adult Bobby's life continued to be one long sequence of supervillains, failed relationships, identity crises, and discovering that his powers were absurdly stronger than he realized. He dated Zelda, Terry Sue Bottoms, Opal Tanaka, and had complicated feelings for Polaris. Very complicated feelings for Polaris. A lot of you know Polaris is my girl. And Bobby was just relentless about how he felt about her, causing fights with Havoc whenever he could, just being a whole problem. So he was pretty annoying. And he basically, if you've been online, he is the equivalent of the guy who says every day, hey, 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 F you, hey. He's that guy. Most of these relationships ended pretty badly, often because being involved with Bobby usually meant getting attacked by robots, gods, monsters, mutants, or all four before dessert. He attended UCLA, earned his CPA accreditation, and somehow became both an accountant and a superhero. For a while, he joined Angel, Black Widow, Ghost Rider, Hercules, and others in a team called the Champions of Los Angeles. They fought giant threats, weird villains, and occasionally each other. As years passed, Bobby kept discovering new layers to his powers. What started as making snow and ice slides eventually evolved into complete control over water molecules, rebuilding his body from vapor, surviving being shattered into pieces, creating armies of ice clones, and casually doing things that would terrify most reality based life forms. A major turning point came when Emma Frost temporarily possessed his body and used his powers far more effectively than he ever had. Her feedback was less constructive criticism and more, "You've been holding yourself back for years, you absolute walnut." Annoyingly, she was right. Bobby gradually learned that he wasn't just a guy who covered himself in ice, he was ice. He could regenerate from steam, survive complete destruction, and manipulate water on a massive scale. Every few years, somebody would discover a new terrifying thing he could do, and Bobby would react with, "Wait, I can do that?" His personal life remained complicated. He struggled with coming out to his family and his friends, particularly his parents. Some teammates felt hurt when they found out indirectly, others were immediately supportive. Bobby eventually came out publicly and became one of Marvel's most prominent LGBTQ plus heroes. Through all of this, he remained Bobby, funny, self-deprecating, occasionally immature, and far more powerful than he'd like to admit. During the Krakoan era, he helped establish mutant nationhood, transform Mars into a mutant world of Arakko alongside other Omega-level mutants, worked with the Marauders, rekindled relationships with both Christian Frost, who is the brother of Emma Frost, and Romeo, and tried to figure out what a normal life even looked like. Then came the third Hellfire Gala. Anti-mutant extremists attacked Krakoa, and Nimrod seemingly killed Bobby by melting him. Unfortunately for Nimrod, killing Iceman is less of a solution and more of a suggestion. Bobby survived, though maintaining a physical form became much harder. Operating from an ice fortress in the Arctic like the world's most emotionally exhausted snow wizard, he continued fighting Orcus and protected mutant kind. Eventually, after mutant kind's return from exile in the White Hot Room, Bobby joined the assault against Orcus alongside the rest of the X-Men. After everything ended with Krakoa, all the chaos, and the mutant nation was a goner, Bobby ended up helping Kitty Pryde and Emma mentor some young mutants who were facing the fact that no matter what they do, the world will not accept them for who they are. Mutants, and Bobby can attest to that. After decades of adventures, heartbreak, apocalypses, time travel disasters, identity struggles, and about 1 million opportunities to retire somewhere warm, Bobby Drake remained what he had always been: the X-Men's resident class clown, an OG X-Man, one of the most powerful mutants on Earth, and living proof that the guy making ice slides and bad jokes might secretly be an Omega level force of nature. So that is Bobby Drake, aka Iceman. I love his character. I love his powers. I think he's fantastic. And I think he is so ridiculously underrated because even now in the comics, he is at Graymalkin Lane, which is like it's a place that Emma Frost came up with that she made. It's like a psychic world for all the mutants to reside in safely. Even then, he's a side character. When he was helping Kitty and Emma Frost, he was a side character. He's never really gotten the attention he deserves, unless you want to count Luciano Vecchio's one shot of him that came out a couple months ago, last month, I think. It was called Iceman Omega. And if you are an Iceman fan, I highly suggest checking it out. It is fantastic all the way through. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about Bobby Drake today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will like and subscribe. And I hope you have a marvelous day.